Hello, Nomad Sculpt, and this video is about fill holes, mesh fixing. So let's see what we get. So maybe you have an object from a 3D scanner or AI generated mesh that's with a lot of holes, and you see it here, it's damaged here. But maybe you want such a mesh to start with. So yeah, you have to fix it. So first I'm looking at the mesh and decide what I can use. And there are a few tools. So here in the tools bar, here you see the height tool, and then there's a clay brush. This brush is important. And here is this is a tool of my Etsy shop. If you like it, you can buy it. But in fact, here this tool is a slightly adjusted clay brush, but it works a little bit different than the clay. So these are the tools I use. Maybe sometimes a little bit of smoothing. So clay, the fill brush, smooth, height tool. So okay. So I'm starting with a height tool. And I'm at the moment the tongue is okay, so I pick this as a separate mesh. So I use symmetry, and so at the moment the lasso is active, so I'm hiding here a part of the mesh. Yeah. So the top part is also not important for the tongue. Oh, sorry. I have something went wrong. So okay. So we're getting closer. So now it's fine. So in this view here, I'm using the split tool. So this is a default split tool. I only apply the other icon. So I use here the legacy mode and the lasso tool. So I'm using now the outline function. So let's see. This is nice, this is okay. So here in this, in the symmetry, I'm using here split mirror to make it symmetrical. So this mesh here becomes here the tongue. So tongue. Okay. So I'm leaving the solo view. So, and this mesh we can hide now. And I'm hiding also the other meshes. So the height tool here we can clear, so then we can see everything again. So here's our dragon head. So here here the big hole here in the center. So we can try to fix it with it's try and error sometimes. So I'm using now the trim tool, and here for the trim tool you find here filter settings. So you can choose here front facing vertex only. So, and here for this thing here you can choose legacy or fill. So let's try what works best. Or so and I'm trimming here the hole. So now I think the hole is closed, and this is fine. So Yeah, first hole closed. So the next thing is I'm adding a sphere, and at the bottom you see the X-ray mode. So when you activate X-ray, so you can choose here unselected or selected file, so use the X-ray mode. So, and here for my sphere, so I place it somewhere, oops, what happened? So I place it here inside the head, and yeah, I place it only rough in the center of the object. So okay, and let's validate this object. So here in the MISC menu you find here an option to reproject the vertices. So here when you select only the vertices, so now it appears from high res 1. So when you press here, you see here your sphere tries to fill the inside of this thing here. So, and now I'm using the solo view, and when you look now at the mesh here, so the wireframe is active, so like this. So you see here yeah, a mess. So we have to voxel remesh this whole thing. So I voxel remesh this, and I'm using a low poly count. So here remesh, so you get something here like this. So now we have enough topology to fill more gaps. So I'm using now first the move tool. So when I'm moving here the sphere a little bit inside the other shape, so it don't have to be exact, so only place it a little bit where it should be. So, and then press again Reproject. So then the next step is press voxel remesh. So using move tool, fill in the gaps here with the move tool. So try to let the other mesh fit inside the other. Hey, what happened? I tapped the wrong mesh. So not the tongue, the sphere. So voxel remesh, reproject. So, and here I think we need also a little bit mesh. So it's always the same, press reproject, voxel remesh, and try to fit the whole thing here a little bit inside. And we can also use the clay brush a little bit, so to fill the whole thing. So reproject. I hope you get it. Okay. don't worry about these red overlappings here. So we are coming closer. So let's see what we get. So here's a problem. So it's also possible to mirror sometimes, so to fix a few problems. And overlap, it doesn't matter. You can create a chaotic mesh inside. So something like this here. And here I think I use a little bit the clay tool. So voxel remesh. So, and here I think we have to move the mesh inside a little bit more in this direction. So voxel remesh, reproject. So, and here for the neck here, I try to bring it here outside. Yeah, it looks fine. So now I'm leaving the X-ray mode. So, and so I'm using here, this is a round all tool, so round all. So now I try something, I increase the resolution of the inside mesh a little bit, remesh. So, and now I try to reproject again. So, and then with this round all brush, here I'm using the solo view, I'm brushing along. So, and then I try to reproject again. And this I do a few times. So, and again a voxel remesh. So when something like this happens, then go a step back. Sorry. And I use now the clay tool at the bottom, voxel remesh. So, and again, reproject. And I think a last time voxel remesh. So this is okay. And now I activate both meshes and I press voxel remesh. So I check here the resolution. So maybe a little bit higher. So let's check everything here. So there are a few floating parts here. So here in the, you see such separate mesh things here. So you can press here, and here is an option to separate these parts. So now you get a bunch of different objects. So tap on the main object. So this is the main object. Select the folder, yeah, or the group node, and delete this thing. So back to this mesh. Now the floating parts are all gone. So this looks fine so far. So here we have holes we have to fix. So for this, try the trim tool, and as I said here, the filter settings here, this is important for the trim tool, the front facing vertex only. Okay, so sometimes it works, sometimes not. So, and here at the bottom, press always voxel remesh to see if the holes are closed or not. So here some things don't work. I go a few steps back and I use a other tool. So here is my fill tool. So I use now the fill tool and try to fill the gaps. So here I'm brushing, so something like this here. And then press voxel remesh. Fine. So here try fill tool. So again a voxel remesh. I can increase a little bit the intensity and I hope you can see what I do. So always again a voxel remesh, and again brushing, searching for gaps, for holes. So this here this is always the filler tool or the fill tool. So here is a problem. So for this here I use the trim tool. So this is nice. Maybe here fixing. So here it should also work at the top, and voxel remesh. So what we have here, so I'm using the fill tool, and here I brush till the mesh comes out. So I think this is okay. Here is a problem. So split device trim, I need trim. Is the backside okay? voxel remesh. So I'm using split and mirror. And such floating parts here like this here. So you can use the move or the drag tool and drag it simple in the mesh and then press voxel remesh. So then you can connect it again. So here's the clay tool. With the clay tool you can also fill in a little bit and give back the volume. So now it looks okay. So okay, let's check the tongue. So I also voxel remesh this. Oh, I selected both. I want only the tongue. So remesh. So okay, so I take a look inside the mesh now. So I use the hide tool, symmetry I turn off, and I'm looking inside the mesh. So what happens here? So here I think we have to change the two-sided colored backface off, two-sided on, or auto, and I think it looks okay. So the inside of the mesh seems to be okay. So it should be fixed so that all the holes are gone. So this is nice. Okay, so I clear the hide, and so the face group I change it to one face group, and then so yeah, I'm using now the split tool. So this is a split tool. So I check here the settings. If the filter setting here front facing is off, this is okay. And I'm using now the lasso tool. So this is a workflow to become now separate parts. So I want, for example, the teeth as separate objects. So I'm using now the split tool. So, and I'm splitting here the teeth. So like this here. So I use now this mesh here in solo view, and I'm pressing here voxel remesh. So, and now I'm splitting further. So first here I change here to trim tool, and I change now the front facing vertex option. So I trim here these mesh parts here. So I trim it like this. So I go a step back and use symmetry. And press at the bottom voxel remesh. So now I'm using the split tool again. So here is one tooth, teeth. So like this and like this. So the rest here is a mirrored object, so I can delete this. So, and now I pick every tooth and voxel remesh. So I check now the whole thing, and I think we need. So now I'm choosing trim tool, split tool, voxel remesh. So I trim this part here, voxel remesh, and sometimes I use a clay tool. So I clay here on the tooth a little bit, voxel remesh, and smooth it out. So here at the top I'm using the clay brush, voxel. So the next one, I pick this here. I'm using the trim tool. So voxel remesh, clay tool, voxel. So maybe we can use here again trim. So I trim this part away. So, and I'm using the clay. Okay. So then the next one, trim tool, voxel remesh. So the move tool is also okay. Now we got the next one, trim, voxel, move, voxel remesh. So, and this is the last tooth. I think I trim this part and maybe this. Oops. Wrong thing selected. So let's check the view here. So now I'm using so maybe the move tool, and I move it here inside the other mesh. Voxel remesh. So here's trimming, voxel. Maybe like this. So I'm switching a little bit between the tools, smooth tool, move tool. So, and this one here. So this is a move tool. So now I got here my objects. So I use the select tool here. So, and I brush here along these meshes, and in the hierarchy, so I add now, so on gizmo is off, a group, a mirror node. So, and I select now the head, and I add a primitive shape, a sphere. So to have a representation of the eyes. Here, this one. So, and I also use here the mirror. So, and I name it as eyes. Okay. So the main mesh I can also voxel remesh. So, and this is the thing then, yeah, now detailing. So I'm using the clay tool in sub mode now, and I'm removing here a little bit of the mesh and change the mode. So maybe to create here the eyelid. So always do a voxel remesh, so to have a clean mesh or a nice topology. So yeah, we're getting closer to a head sculpt. And maybe here for the teeth or something, so there are a few floating things here. I think this one I can delete. And also maybe here I need a other duplicate of this tooth, so I bring it here in position and place it here. So, and the last example is here for this object. Sorry, I have to do a few things before. So this is one thing for the quad remesher. So I check here my face group, give it a other face group, also the other teeth here, tooth. So this is nice now, and I start here with a quad remesher, and I remesh with a very low poly count, 300, 400. So I have to deselect the symmetry, relax the face group and the density. So I remesh it like this. Also for the other meshes, so symmetry off, remesh, symmetry off, remesh, symmetry off, remesh. So now everything is fine. So now there's a nice mesh on these objects. Oh, sorry, wrong. So I turn now the wireframe off, perspective is on. And one thing is also, so I select now everything and I paint it. So paint all, maybe there's something to fix with the color. Yeah. So let's see what we get. So I think it's nice. That's it. Mesh is fixed. Have fun with sculpting. Ciao.